Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to submit for the record an article, Why Condoms Cannot Always Be Trusted. It's dated March 19th, 1993, and it goes on to say that USAID distributed around 800 million condoms last year, and this was in 93. The argument that condoms are not being distributed obviously has some holes in it, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Premerick, can you provide an example of USAID programs, a USAID program that was harmful to the U.S. foreign interests? You. I probably didn't say your name right. I've said it.
That's okay, Congressman. Thank you.
Nobody gets. Jonathan Jackson still doesn't get Burchett right, so we're good.
Now, I've heard a lot about the issue of China, and I agree that it's very important to counter China. But the last 4 years went in the opposite direction. The strong counter-China infrastructure that we had developed over at USAID was simply dismantled by the next administration. I can't think of anything that's harmed the developing world than the climate agenda. It has pushed all of these countries, especially in Africa, to go green. Solar, wind, EV. Who produces all of those materials? It's China. And then on top of it, we tell them, no, you can't develop your own fossil fuel industry because it's anti-green. So what happens? They can't generate the revenues to create good jobs at home. They can't generate the revenues in order to finance their own health, education, and other needs. And it increases the price of energy, which does what to the poor? It hurts them. The climate agenda has done more in increasing poverty and increasing hunger than anything else. Of course, the resentment that's building up from around the world, that's much more conservative than we are on these woke things. It's extremely damaging. And look, a friend of mine at work provided me this morning with something that's very, very telling. Of the 19 of the top 20 countries receiving aid from USAID are part of the Belt and Road Initiative that China runs.
Sure.
I mean, this is showing that our efforts are not working. And I agree with Congressman Yoho and Administrator Natsios that the developing world, they want more trade, they want more investment. I don't care if you're speaking to government officials, business leaders, religious leaders. They don't want all of this other kind of aid where 50% of it is gone and we're violating their norms.
Let me get a couple more questions in to you, if that'd be all right. Did USAID assist in illegal immigration on our southern border?
I think that's something, it's both state and aid that's shared in that responsibility. PRM over at state, I think, is doing this. There was this whole thing about root causes and spending billions of dollars in Central America as if that would stem illegal immigration. But the problem with that argument is that these countries earn tens of billions of dollars of remittances. So the amount of aid that we're spending is such a tiny amount, it doesn't have any impact. If you want to stem illegal immigration, it's not foreign aid, it's closing the border. And we're seeing the results of it now.
Did USAID fund foreign terrorist organizations such as the Taliban?
You know, when I launched and led the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance, we had an internal risk assessment tool, and I pushed it immediately into red because we were sending money in places where we didn't have an actual presence. In a place like Afghanistan, we're not there. All of the international NGOs that we worked through, they left, and the Afghans that had worked for us, they fled or were killed. So we have absolutely no idea what's happening with that money, but it's being spent. Before I left as the COO, I put in a very tough vetting requirement that anybody who touches the money must go through our databases to see whether or not these are terrorists. But the next administration just removed it. So I think we can safely conclude that we are.
Those groups will hate us for free. Ted, does Congress authorize the spending for every individual USAID program? And that's to say, did Congress approve the $20,000 for the drag show in Ecuador or the $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia?
No, they don't. It goes, again, those things happen without the oversight. And it's hard to do oversight when you have a big organization like that. And that's why again, you have to have the purity of purpose, and we have to be diligent when I was in Congress to be the ones that say, we're not spending this money.
Thank you.
But those two projects are State Department projects. They're not USAID projects. That is inaccurate, sir.
Did I say that? I didn't say that, sir, but thank you for putting words in my mouth. I would like to submit this article for the record, Mr. Chairman.
So ordered. Gentleman's time has expired, and I'd add, they don't just happen whether we authorize or deauthorize. They happen because of bad people in USAID or the State Department that put these forward programs. You don't belong there if you're putting these programs forward, and their time at those agencies will come.